Hi there! Emily Midget here with you today to share a video for Hero Arts with a few tips and tricks on ways to use vellum in your card making. Vellum is a lovely way to add a different element of texture to your card front while also adding a touch of elegance. I have 3 different holiday projects for you today, each highlighting a different way for you to add vellum to your card making, so let's get started with the details. The Hero Arts vellum is of a sturdy, heavy quality at 48-pound weight, but still translucent enough to see through. One of my favorite ways to use vellum is as a spotlight for a sentiment on a card front. This first project uses just the brand new snowflake ornament dies and some cardstock, highlighting the sentiment in the center. I die cut a solid portion of the snowflake ornament die set from Vellum, then heat embossed the holiday greeting in the center. After layering the 2 sections of the snowflake ornament dies, I laid the die cut over some pool layering paper. The vellum has a softening effect over the bright turquoise cardstock while also providing a subtle, elegant highlight for the silver embossed greeting. Add in some sparkly glitter paper for a matte, and you have a very simple but easily mass-produced and easily mailed holiday card. For my next project, I wanted to show how vellum can subtly soften a busy, colorful background, providing a smooth canvas for your greeting while still allowing that busy background to be one of the stars of your card front. I started by heat embossing the hand-drawn snowflakes background in silver on my white card front. One of my tricks for embossing these giant backgrounds is to place my background stamp on the lid of my MISTI, then place my card front face down on the background stamp and add some pieces of washi tape. I then close the bottom of my MISTI over the washi tape side of my card front, adhering my card front to the bottom of the MISTI. This technique allows me to place my background stamp exactly where I want it on my card front while still giving me the option to re-stamp if necessary. After heat embossing my snowflakes in silver, I blended indigo, deep ocean, and orchid inks on my card front using blending tools. I add several layers of color, blending each different color into the adjacent colors at least twice to create a smooth blend. These super bright, saturated colors would normally be the star of the show, but I wanted to show how easily you can soften this bright, busy background with a simple vellum die cut. To incorporate my greeting, I die cut a vellum snowflake from the Snowflake Infinity dies, as well as a Wishes die cut from glitter cardstock from the new Wishes Stampin' Cut. I also die cut 2 more wishes from some scrap cardstock. One of the most intimidating things about vellum is where to put the adhesive. Because it's translucent, you have to be creative in hiding the adhesive, so for this card I will be hiding the adhesive behind my sentiment die cuts. I adhere the glitter wishes cut onto the snowflake with liquid adhesive, then flip it over and adhere the 2 extra wishes on the back of my vellum, which will allow me to add adhesive to those die cuts instead of putting it on the vellum itself, and causing unsightly splotches of adhesive on the vellum. The extra die cuts also add an element of dimension to the card front, allowing the snowflake to be popped up on the card front. I hide the foam adhesive behind the warm sentiment strip, and the final touch was to add a few sequins for some sparkle. For my final project today, I wanted to show you one of my favorite ways to use vellum: coloring on the back with Copics, which creates an almost stained glass effect. Just as I softened the busy background with a solid piece of vellum, the semi-opacity of the vellum allows Copic coloring to be visible but muted. To create this project, I began by embossing in silver the Holiday Florals bold prints background onto an A2 panel of vellum, then chose 4 bold Copic colors to color the images. I chose these saturated deep colors because the vellum will soften the colors tremendously. I laid the embossed vellum background on a piece of white scrap paper to allow me to easily see the images embossed on the front, then flipped it over and began coloring. Coloring on the back helps to smooth some of the harsh lines of the Copic coloring. The alcohol ink dries so quickly on the vellum that the blend isn't quite as smooth as when the Copics are used on regular cardstock. Occasionally, I will go back in for a second layer of coloring to help brighten the initial layer of Copic coloring. After adding color to the entire background, I added adhesive to the frame cut using infinity rectangle dies. As with the previous cards, finding ways to adhere the vellum to the card front without leaving unattractive blobs of adhesive on the vellum is often the trickiest part of working with vellum. The die-cut frame helps to avoid that problem by providing a spot for the adhesive to hide. I adhered the frame to the embossed front using strong double-sided tape, then adhered that to the actual card front, again hiding the adhesive behind the frame. Adding the framed vellum panel to the white card front helps to make these Copic colored elements really pop. I added a die cut and stamped greeting from the piece Stampin' Cut using liquid adhesive. The final element was to add some crystal lacquer to the piece die cut just to add another element of dimension. Well, that's all for me today. I hope you've enjoyed these tips on how to incorporate vellum into your card making projects. It creates a subtle, elegant effect that is perfect for holiday cards or any card throughout the year. To see these projects up close, head over to the Hero Arts blog. Thanks so much for watching, and have a marvelous day.